So, the NRL's inaugural preseason challenge is over, and as a Manly fan, I've got one thing to say. We are the champions, my friend. Alright, I know, I'm getting a bit up myself, but I can't help it. Manly are the first team to ever beat both the NRL and Super League reigning champions in the same competition, and by October we'll be the first side to ever win 2 comps in the same year. But I know you're here not to hear me ramble on around Manly. We will get to them soon, spoiler alert. But in today's video, I haven't been doing much preseason content, and that's because I've been busy. But I thought the best way to wrap this up is I've got 5 different teams, and we're going to be going through the winners and losers of the NRL's preseason challenge. So strap yourselves in, get ready for another Paddy G upload. So make sure you smash that like button, guys, if you do enjoy it. Leave a comment down below. Who do you think was the biggest winner and loser of the NRL's preseason challenge? And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Footy season is a week away. Tomorrow, maybe, depending on when you're seeing this. But footy season is almost here, guys, so subscribe, because you can't be the footy fan who's not subscribed to Paddy G going into 2023. So it's no surprise that we're going to start here. My number 1 winner for the NRL preseason challenge is, of course, the preseason champions. And let's be honest, whoever won this little tournament was arguably going to be number 1 on this list. However, I must say, in terms of the actual 2 games, I thought the Sharks were the more impressive out of the 2 sides. Obviously, they would have won if they got the offloads. Manly got it on the offloads, because if it came down to for and against, the Sharks absolutely smashed them. But the reason I still have Manly and I would consider them above the Sharks is because they did it without not just Tommy Turbo and Daly Cherry Evans, but also Lachlan Croker. Manly have been notorious as the one-man team for so many years now, and it's understandable. Without Tommy, they've proven that they're probably a bottom 8 side, and with him, they're a side that can make a prelim final and was everyone's dark horses just 2 years ago. But now, they've gone in and they've knocked off 2 of the premiership heavyweights, the South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Sydney Roosters. When the preseason challenge, when the trials came out and Manly had to play the Rabbitohs and the Roosters, I won't lie, me heart sunk a little bit. But to see us win both of those games, I know the Rabbitohs one doesn't count, but this Roosters side were playing a lot of their heavy hitters. And Manly, not only did they beat them, they destroyed them 26-0. And it wasn't like Josh Schuster had a blinder. It wasn't like Ruben Garrett ran for 300 metres, although he did score a hat-trick and remains the hottest man in rugby league. It's not like we had anyone playing to the level that Tom did or Daly Cherry Evans does. Everyone just filled in and did their roles to perfection. The new number 9, and I still think Lockie Croker should remain the number 1. Gordon Chen Kum Tong, I'm very sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, is an absolute beast. But as a Manly fan, to see our middles absolutely tear up that Roosters forward back with the likes of Lindsay Collins, Matt Lodge, Brandon Smith and Victor Radley, to see Kelma Tuolagi play as good, if not better, than Homole Olakau'atu, to see Kola flying down that right centre spot. It's giving me goosebumps. It's made me excited. No, I still don't think we're going to win the comp, even though we will. But I can't sit here and say that I'm not at least a bit more excited for 2023. But now from 1st to 18th, I think the biggest loser in this has to be the Canberra Raiders. They were absolutely destroyed by 2 teams in these trials that didn't even make the top 8 last year. And the second one, a bit more concerning. Now, the Tigers did play a pretty strong side. I know they still didn't play their big dogs, but they didn't play as strong a side in week 1, and they were absolutely dismantled by Lukey Metcalf and the New Zealand Warriors. And in the second trial, they came out and absolutely touched up the Canberra Raiders, who, at least for the first half, fielded pretty much a full-strength side, and the Tigers still didn't even play their captain, Api Coruscant. So, it's obviously not going to shine a good light on the Raiders. I don't know where they're going to sit. Obviously, they had that incredible run last year, which coincided with the return of Jamal Fogarty. So, if you think Fogarty is going to be fit for the start of the season, and I hope I'm not jinxing him here, but it looks like he will be, then it's hard to see the Raiders not at least improving. Adam Elliott is their only loss, so maybe he provided a lot, and I think he did. It looks like Tarpanay has gotten heaps more, so I think the direction they're going to go is him at lock. Not sure if I agree with that. I'm not sure if I agree with moving the best front rower, arguably, in the competition, certainly your best player from last year, to a different position to coincide for another loss. Weakening one position to try and fix another has never, ever settled with me, and we're going to get to another situation like that in a minute. But, look, I'm not as high on the Raiders as I was before the preseason. At the end of the day, every team's going out there to try and win, and the Raiders did the complete opposite. We touched on these guys earlier, but the Cronulla Sharks look like they have not missed a step. They played pretty much a reserve grade side in that first trial against the Newcastle Knights 2. Still played the Saifidi brothers, still played Jackson Hastings, and the Cronulla Sharks absolutely dismantled them. Then they went to Belmore and they came up against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. To go to Belmore, where that was a very rowdy, very passionate Bulldogs crowd who was so excited for the upcoming season, concede a try in the first minute, hang on, and then absolutely dismantle them for the remainder of their game. It shows to me that Cronulla are still such a professional footy side. Nico Hines hasn't lost a step. Matty Moylan looks even better. And the thing about Hines is that I'm pretty adamant that people are forgetting it wasn't just his first year at halfback. It was his first year as a full-time NRL first grader. He won the Dally M. The Sharks are building something special here, and I didn't have them in that top echelon of contenders. And, well, I don't have them any further away than I did in preseason, because to me they were probably the most impressive side when it comes to preseason, because they absolutely destroyed a Knight side with arguably their reserve graders plus like Toby Rudolph and Hamlin ULA, and then they destroyed the Bulldogs. I don't think the Bulldogs were as good as I thought they'd be, but the Cronulla Sharks, man, am I getting hyped for them. And we sort of just touched on this team just then with the Sharkies, but the Newcastle Knights have done no favours to bump them up in my rankings. Kalen Ponga at number 6, I know it's going to take time, but why? This was a man who, like, not even 9 months ago went toe-to-toe with arguably New South Wales' greatest ever fullback and completely outclassed him. Kalen Ponga at fullback has not been the problem for the Newcastle Knights. It screams to me that Adam O'Brien is just desperate to see a change. Yes, Lockie Miller's a good player. They're going to be losing Dum Young as well. That's just come out recently. But you've got Tyson Gamble, you signed him, you have Hastings, run them in the 6 and the 7, and you can play KP out the back. It also, most importantly, and this isn't a diss on Kalen Ponga's defense, because I actually think he's quite a good defender. But his head, you've got to protect it. This is a young kid. This is now the highest paid player in the NRL on $1.4 million. You know concussion's an issue, and they're still putting him out there in the firing line, and teams are just going to run at him all day. I don't like it. It makes no sense to me. They looked horrible. I know that it's only trial games, but the Newcastle Knights need a fast start. Adam O'Brien needs a fast start, and the Newcastle Knights did absolutely no favours in my eyes to help them prepare for the start of 2023. Now, I did mention the word teams earlier, and originally I was going to talk about St. Helens, and we definitely will. But I think the Super League is the biggest winner of the pre-season challenge, because St. Helens, this is a tour that their club is going to be talking about, that the Super League competition, UK Rugby League fans will be talking about for the next decade. The Penrith Panthers have been the most dominant NRL side that we have ever seen over the past 3 years. The winning percentage is over 85%. They have never lost outside of the Origin period, pretty much outside of that Rabbitohs qualifying final and that game against the Eels last year. Nathan Cleary never lost but one game for the Penrith Panthers in 2021. Jerome Luai lost one game for the Penrith Panthers in 2022. And somehow, St. Helens came out here. They made them go to the Rift. Penrith were not willing to go over. They came here. They beat the Dragons by 12 points, who were fielding a very, very reserve grade side, and they are many people's predicted spooners. But they went out there. They took on the back-to-back, pretty much unbeatable Penrith Panthers and got the W. And I know a lot of people are going, well, the Penrith Panthers treated it as a trial and St. Helens treated it as the World Club Challenge. Well, good. If St. Helens are the ones who treated it like the occasion it was, then they deserve to win. But the stocks this does for the Super League. The fact that the four-time reigning Super League champions came out here and knocked off one of the greatest NRL sides of all time, it proves that while I think we can all agree the Super League is still nowhere near the NRL's level, it's not reserve grade. They're somewhere in the middle, and I know Brodie Croft couldn't even make an NRL side, and he's gone over and won a Man of Steel. But I think it's going to be a great way for players to gain confidence and come back. We've already seen it with Jackson Hastings, and I think we can see it more often. I think it's a better prospect to go to England, go to Europe, go to the UK, where there's not as much hype, there's not as much media coverage as there would even be for reserve grade. Build your confidence up, playing against men, earning a pretty good wicket, and come back. I think Cade Cuss, we're about to see him return to the NRL after leading Wigan Warriors to be one of the most successful teams of the past few years. So the Super League stocks, they have risen. St. Helens are going to be talking about this tour for years to come, and deservingly so, because that was incredible what they did on Saturday night. I can't wait to see the next World Club Challenge. If we get St. Helens and Penrith again, I hope it's over there, and I hope Penrith take it seriously, and they're the sort of bastards who will. They'll remember this Penrith, and they'll go out and try to win the comp so they can get their revenge on St. Helens, because they're like that. But also, isn't it just beautiful rugby league karma? But ladies and gentlemen, there are my winners and losers of the 2023, the first ever NRL Preseason Challenge. So good to see Manly be the champions, 2 champions in 1 year. Can't wait to see it. But ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy the video, smash that like button. Drop a comment down below. Who was your biggest winner and your biggest loser of the NRL's Preseason Challenge? And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. 2023 is going to be a massive fat one. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Another thing I'm discovering lately